taking place on the earth before the flood of Noah. And of course, that is absolutely centric to the content of our films.
What's important, Doug, too, is that we've had a lot of people, ladies and gentlemen, we don't have, the deep pockets that some of the History Channel and National Geographic and others that have an agenda. I think I've said enough times that those guys always want to get myself or Tom Horn or even Tim, when I say even Tim, because he's, now obviously being featured in the films, they know that what he's up to. We don't have their budget. So one of the things that we're doing is putting together the True Legends VIP Expedition and Conference in Cusco, Peru, June 11th through the 18th. Now, this is so critical because all roads not only lead to Cusco, but they lead to every place in the great underground tunnel system of the world. It's my understanding, and it's my basis of working thesis, that when the flood was known to be coming, the giants with their technology and their fallen angel fathers went about building this vast underground tunnel system throughout the world. That's why we refer to it as Cyclopean architecture. So we're going to take 20 people maximum to Peru, and this is going to be a pretty astonishing expedition and conference, and we're calling it the True Legends VIP Expedition and Conference. There's so much stuff to see, and I don't mean just sightseeing, but to understand. There's no way, even in the DVDs, to put into perspective how vast this subject is. So, Tim, do you want to explain just kind of what the expedition will entail? Because I think this is an amazing thing. By the way, I'm going on it, so it's got to be interesting if I'm going to go on this thing, only because there's so much happening, and we'll have some pretty amazing time with Anselm P. Rambla. So, Tim, go ahead and run through the whole VIP expedition and conference.
Well, we've been thinking about this for a long time, that it would be a great idea to follow up our films with VIP expeditions, we're calling them, which are open to the public, to kind of retrace our steps in a conference setting, but also out in the field, and but in a format that is comfortable. So we decided to start where we started, which was in Peru and in Cusco, in the navel of the world, because there's so much to see. Because if you have the understanding of the pre-flood world, which we trust our audience does at this point, and then you go stand before the walls of Sacsayhuaman, or you stand before the walls at Ollantaytambo, or even up in Machu Picchu, it brings to life, it manifests physically the things that we've been saying, and the story, the narrative of the ancient world, the history of the pre-flood world becomes alive. It's tangible. You can touch it. You can see it. And it just really adds a whole nother dynamic to the information. So at the behest of our audience and certain individuals who we've been talking to, we've decided to launch our True Legends VIP expeditions, beginning in Cusco, Peru. It's an expedition and conference. The tentative dates are June 11th through the 18th of next year. We're going to cap it out at 20 guests for logistical reasons. But basically the package, the expedition package, is going to include some really amazing stuff. By the way, this is a 5-star expedition. In other words, everything is 5-star on this expedition, and you know what I mean in a minute. We're going to be spending 6 full days in Cusco, 7 full days in Peru in total. It's going to be guided tours to the most important megalithic sites in the region, guided tours with me. But what's really exciting is we have Anselm P. Rambla on board. Anselm P. Rambla will be with us for the duration of the trip. For those of you who have seen True Legends Episode 2, The Unholy Sea, you'll be familiar with Anselm P. Rambla. He is the Spanish explorer that we feature in the film, a renowned explorer and researcher. He's the one who proved he proved 2 things without a shadow of a doubt that have been completely overlooked in the archaeological world. The first thing he proved was that Sacsayhuaman was definitely not built by the Inca. And in fact, all of the megaliths in the Cusco region and all over Peru and Bolivia were definitely not built by the Inca. He absolutely proved it. He proved it with an archaeological dig, with a professional investigation. And also, the second thing he proved is that the Xinkana exists. He presented undeniable proof of this fact, again, using the same scientific means he did with ground-penetrating radar. He actually was brought down into this, for those of you who didn't see the film, was actually brought down beneath the church, the convent of Santo Domingo in what is now the Coricancha. Into the Coricancha, down underneath the Coricancha, what is now the convent of Santo Domingo in Cusco, which we will be visiting with Anselm P. Rambla. He actually saw a part of this underground tunnel system. It was lined with megalithic stones, Cyclopean architecture, as Steve said. So Anselm P. Rambla is a very professional and excellent researcher. He's from Spain. He's Spanish, and he's in very high demand around the world. And he is excited to join us in Cusco. Again, for the duration of our trip, he will be one of the speakers at our conference. We're going to be, the primary sites that we're going to be visiting in the Cusco region are Sacsayhuaman, Tambo Machai, Machu Picchu, Ollantaytambo, the Coricancha, and we're going to be touring the streets of Cusco. Again, people are going to get an inside take on the megaliths, on what they really represent, from myself, from Steve, from Anselm P. Rambla, in the field, putting your hands on the stones and being able to have a tangible sense of the content of the Genesis 6 narrative that we've been talking about. We're going to have 3 evenings of conference meetings. The speakers are Steve, myself, and Anselm P. Rambla. We'll all be presenting a presentation relevant to the content of our films, relevant to the region, the Cusco region. As I said before, the whole thing is going to be a 5-star trip. We're staying in 5-star hotels, some of the nicest, I would say the nicest hotel in Cusco, and also up at Machu Picchu. We're going to be doing the luxury train ride to Machu Picchu. So it's there's really, I don't think anybody has really done anything quite like this, because for one thing, nobody has had Steve Quayle and Anselm P. Rambla in the field together, or in the field at all on this kind of a thing. So I'm really excited to hang out with these guys, and I'm really excited for Steve to meet Anselm P. Rambla, because I've met him only through cyberspace, but the guy's really fascinating. He has a lot to say, and he has done the scientific work that proves a lot of it proves the premises of our films. Absolutely, his work, the scientific work he's done. So we're really looking forward to it. Again, it's going to be closed at 20 guests max, and the price tag for this trip is pretty high. It's $7,500 per person, but it is a 5-star trip. And obviously, what we're doing is we're looking for people to help us make more films. That's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to achieve, and that's what we will achieve, because our films are getting rave reviews all over the place. But you guys have to understand who we're competing with. We're competing with the Discovery Channel. We're competing with the History Channel. We're competing with all of the documentaries going up on Netflix and Hulu and Amazon. And so we're competing against the Ancient Aliens narrative, and we have to understand that the Ancient Aliens narrative, the Zecharia Sitchin narrative, is very well funded, and it's funded by the enemies of the truth in many cases. And so we're doing this all on our own. Steve was approached before we started our series. Steve was approached by different major television channels. We had the opportunity to produce films or series to go on regular TV, but I think Steve wisely chose that we want to control the narrative. We do not want our research and our words to be warped, to be changed in support of a non-biblical narrative. We won't have it, And so that means that we want to compete with these guys. And so we have to raise the kind of funds that we need to do that. And obviously, our films are available through our audience, through these platforms, Hagmann and Hagmann, who have been so gracious in allowing us to talk about our films, and through Steve's website, through Vimeo, and the sale of our DVDs. But we want to expand. Our goal is to expand. And in fact, we would love in the future to be able to produce movies, to be able to produce documentary films that are theater quality, and that not only can compete with these other films and documentaries, but overtake them in terms of quality and content and quality of post-production. I mean, we're really aiming high. We have our goals are set very high, and so we're inviting people to join us on this trip. As I said, it's going to fill up fast because this is really an unprecedented trip to bring Steve Quayle together with Anselm P. Ramla to be able to visit these sites, and so we're really excited about it.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, one of the very first statues or bronzes I commissioned was David and Goliath. And boy, now Tim and I and the people involved with us know how difficult it is to come up against the biggest guys in the world with all the money literally in the world. And God has been faithful. There have been a couple of people that have stepped up and helped us to be able to bring what we brought to the screen so far. But I'm going to be putting up on my website momentarily some of the sculptures that are done by one of the most famous sculptors in the world, Mark Patrick. You've seen a couple of them. There's a picture of me with the giant Indian of legend, Goose Clop, who's running down bison, and it was stated that he could carry a bison under each arm and eat them on the run. Now, if you think that's interesting, it's now coming into public knowledge that something happened to the Pueblo Indians in the desert Southwest, especially the Four Corners area around the Crow Canyon region, in which obviously the evidence now indicates that a lot of the Native Americans were destroyed, literally eaten on the run. Now, that's not the official narrative of the National Park Service. And what's important to understand this, we also have another way to help fund this. I've commissioned, I think, 6 sculptors now that are available. They're very expensive. If anybody wants to, and it's all stated on the page, it's a video conference set. I filmed with Tim and Vinny, our cameraman, the other day to put it up. In essence, if you're interested in supporting us, you'll get one of the limited edition sculptors. By the way, these things are in the tens of thousands of dollars even to have them made. I've wanted to always bring into a three-dimensional world so many of the two-dimensional art pieces that you see on my website in the illustrations. So that will go up momentarily, Doug, after this. So let me give a good example. We have 3 sculptors that are available at $25,000 a piece. Now, for the record, just so sculptors sell from anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000. So people buy the sculpture. If they'd like to have it, they get the trip to Cusco. 1 sculptor, 1 person. We have the giant Roman sculpture, which you can see that is literally 15 different hand-sculpted soldiers and giants, and that's even that's like not only one of a kind, but there's nothing like it that exists except in the the illustration that Brian Snowdy did. That's on my website under illustrations, and that is a masterful piece. You can have a one-of-a-kind on that, and that's for a donation of $50,000. Now, what's critical to understand, these, and this is not with profit. We are now, Doug, just breaking even on 2 of the DVDs, because obviously, we're the little guys on the block, but these video productions are costing $250,000. We take a cameraman, for instance, and we got one of a pretty amazing cameraman. We've got 2 amazing cameramen, but the point is they're about $1,000 a day. So when you're gone for 21 days, you can understand how much money, not to mention travel, not to mention room and board. So the thing is that, ladies and gentlemen, we're looking for people that want to stand with us. Some of you really have never won anybody to the Lord. Now, let me share this. This DVD series has gone worldwide. I think we're maybe up to 60, 70, 80 countries. I know that just selling the DVDs around the world, we're at least at 60. But the point that's critical is people are saying, now I get it. Now I understand why I could never really fully grasp why God would command the children of Israel to go into the promised land and kill every man, woman, and child. It's because they were genetic hybrids. And it's if a little leaven leavens a whole lump, you can imagine what the DNA does. What we've been able to do with this Cusco trip and with the statues is hopefully fund, True Legends Episode 3, the post-production. Post-production normally costs about $50,000. And by the way, there's no secrets. It really costs this much. Those of you who are in the film business know, and we're doing this thing in as I guess you'd say, fiscally responsible position. So we're not asking for you to give us money. What we're asking for is you to stand with us. And in order to show our appreciation, we will provide you with the sculpture of your choice. And those will be up on my website momentarily because there's a 6 or 7 minute video along with the trailer for The Unholy Sea. So take a look at those. If you're interested, send me Steve777 at stevequayle.com, Steve777 at stevequayle.com, and you can put either expedition or sculptures. Some of you may not want to go, but ladies and gentlemen, this is your chance. Now look, we've got a reprieve. I don't know how long a reprieve we've got with the election of Donald Trump. Whether you like him or not, we've got a temporary reprieve. But the axe falls at some point in the future. And so we want to make the best use of time. And if God grants us the grace of another year, I don't know, another 6 months, we're reaching people all over the world. So like I said, I'll just say this one last time. Some of you have never had the joy or the blessing of leading anybody to Jesus. But when you stand behind what we're doing, I promise you, and I can tell you this, from all over the world, with the exception of obviously the people that don't like me or don't like what I do or anything, the rave reviews, I think Tim, even Anselm said it was one of the finest, and this is accurate, go ahead and chime in, but it was one of the most amazing produced DVD documentaries he's ever seen. Is that not correct?
Yeah, he was extremely pleased with how we portrayed the Xinkana, and he thought it was absolutely amazing the way we put that film together.
Right. So I'm putting up the statues. If you're interested, just send me an email and say statues. Again, with the statues, with the donation, it's a gift for the statues. You'll get the trip to Cusco, one statue per person, and if you want to just get the statues and you don't want the trip, it's the same price. All we're trying to do is basically make this possible. As of today, I think we may have 4 to 6 people already signed up. Somebody said, well, what will happen if the more people want to sign up? Then Tim will be spending more time in Peru than in the States, okay? Because, again, we need people to stand with us. And for those of you that have purchased our DVDs and given us, donations, some people donate $5 a month. We have something special in mind for you. And when I say that, it doesn't matter for the biggest or the smallest. We have something that will be, specifically detailed to you in our appreciation. It's free. You don't have to pay for it. Others will have to pay for it. And I'm not talking about the DVD. So we really do appreciate everyone that's praying. And I guess, Doug, the hardest thing to get across to people, and maybe I fail at communication in this realm, is we're up against the most powerful spiritual wickedness in the world. We're up against absolute murderous people that will do anything to keep their agenda hidden. If it weren't for the people's intercession and also those who are standing with us financially, God bless you, Cam and Jan, and those of you, Gary and David, and those of you who have stood with us. But we need someone just to say, I know what these guys are doing. Please, ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the day, here's what the Scripture says. They who win souls are wise. This isn't about going and seeing a bunch of ancient ruins. This isn't about, gee, I get a trip to South America and get to stay in the best hotels and take the equivalent of the Andes Orient Express, and that's what it is. This is about laying out before everybody the theme and the central, if you will, thread of truth throughout the biblical narrative, to put everything, and God even said there was a time when it would be sealed up in the book of Daniel, that there comes a time, and we believe we're in that time right now, to basically watch the fulfillment of the word of the Lord come to pass. And so you get to play a part in that if you'll stand with us. And by the way, I just want to make this statement. I was just notified in email by my webmaster in Colorado that our shopping cart, we're switching over our shopping cart in order to accommodate our international sales on shipping. It has been a nightmare. I apologize to everyone, but that may be down for 24 hours. So the point that we're trying to do is make everything easier. Please, again, understand. And again, Doug, this is maybe you can say it better than I can. But Tim and I are putting our hearts into it, and we're putting our lives into it, literally on the line, and that's not melodrama. And I don't think most people understand when drones are watching you. Obviously, somebody's very concerned.
Yeah,
so maybe you, Doug, can put it into better terms than I can.
Go ahead, Tim. Yeah, I sense something. Go ahead.
Yeah, if I could just add real quick too, you can write to Steve's website. You can also write to Gen6Productions@gmail.com. That's Gen6Productions@gmail.com for any inquiry, really, but especially if you're interested in going on the trip. We will send you a PDF with all of the details concerning the trip. I know some of you are already wondering, how do I get details? Write to Gen6Productions@gmail.com. We will send you a PDF with all of the information. For those of you who've made donations to us, we've been getting donations from all over the place. We thank you. God bless you. Thank you for helping us. We've been getting, everything helps. I mean, everything helps us do what we do. And so we can't thank you enough for that. You can, if you want to make a donation, you can go to TrueLegendsTheSeries.com, click on the PayPal button, and make it through PayPal, through our website. We are also planning on creating a lot more free content. That's part of what we want to do, is expand our operations to be able to produce a lot more videos for free. Our documentaries, we fund ourselves with our documentaries and with these VIP expedition trips, but we want to also be able to produce a lot more free content. We got a lot of stuff in the works, so that you can just follow us on YouTube or on Vimeo and enjoy the free content that we will be releasing on a weekly basis in the future. We need to add some more staff, and we're tied up in documentary films right now. So that's why we're also trying to expand. And then also, I want people to understand that this is an international